Chapter 119. Inexplicably able to go. Heavenly Pepper into the nose, crying in pain. This time really did not want to cry. Long Wenyu is just furious. There is no point of sadness, is angry, is anxious, not sad. But the Heavenly Pepper ingested is not at all their own control, but a snotty look of despair. That tears cannot stop flowing down. Long Wenyu anxious, want to stop themselves from crying. But this trap is their own to do. The Heavenly Pepper is also their own to put. In order to ridicule the ancient sea, but also put the largest dose. At this moment, Long Wenyu kept wiping her eyes to stop the tears from flowing down. But the tears could not be stopped at all. That miserable appearance saw Gu Hai feel guilty for a while. Wanqing asked herself to take care of Long Wenyu, but she repeatedly bullied her. Did she really go too far? On the side, Master Liu Nian looked at Long Wenyu's sorrowful and desperate look, and also felt a slight pang of bitterness. Gu Hai, although I want to go, but I think the person who cares the most about Long Xiaoyu in this world is still Long Wenyu. Alas, after all, it is her daughter. Love can pass through the heart. Look at the way she's grieving. Alas, Liu Nian Master sighed slightly. She's still unintelligent, I worry. Gu Hai's tone loosened a bit, but still worried. In the longevity formation, there are many crises. I can't have much effect even if I go, right? Long Wenyu is a prophet. She has the ability to avoid evil. Perhaps she can show you the right path, Lunar Master sighed. Obviously, not being able to participate in this trip to track down Long Xiaoyu's two souls, Grandmaster Liu Nian was also exceptionally regretful. Gu Hai frowned slightly as he looked towards Long Wenyu in the courtyard. Long Wenyu had already climbed out of the pit. I don't want to cry. I don't want to cry. Ooh, wow. Long Wenyu cried and screamed. Long Wenyu really didn't want to cry. Anxious, but the heavenly peppercorns entered his nose, and he couldn't stop it. This crying in pain, so uncomfortable, he had to stop it before he could. I can't help it. Who let you put so many heavenly peppers? Or else, try washing your eyes, try drinking some water, the demon ghost spirit said breathlessly. And in the eyes of Gu Hai and Master Liu Nian, Long Wenyu was incomparably sad, but also had to hold on to be strong, shouting I don't want to cry while running towards the small pool in the backyard, washing her face with the pool water alone, pretending to be strong and enduring her sadness. A wave of intolerance flashed through the eyes of Master Liu Nian and Gu Hai. Alas, Gu Hai, forget it. You'd better bring Long Wenyu. Xiaoyu only has two daughters. Wanqing is already dead, and Wenyu is grief-stricken. She wants to go so badly. So you should fulfill her. Master Liu Nian couldn't help but advise. Not far away, Long Wenyu drank a few mouthfuls of pool water and washed her face with clean water before finally stopping the nasty effects brought about by the heavenly pepper. Letting out a long breath, she turned her head. The moment she turned her head, her face was mixed with tears and pool water, looking exceptionally wretched and pitiful. All right, just as well. Then Master doesn't need to go. Let Long Wenyu go with me. Gu Hai sighed slightly and finally relented. Turning her head, Long Wenyu was slightly stunned. What had just happened? Is Gu Hai's head broken? How come he's suddenly willing to let me go again? Long Wenyu, go freshen up and get ready. At most a day after tomorrow, we'll be leaving. This soul seed is for you, remember. This is your proof to go with us. Don't lose it, Gu Hai incomparably solemnly said. Long Wenyu received the soul seed blankly. 2 days later, outside Zhenan City, Long Wenyu was spirited at the moment, and looked towards Gu Hai, who was still explaining with Sima Changkong and Master Liu Nian not far away. Gu Hai, hurry up, don't dawdle, Long Wenyu shouted in a great mood at the moment. Gu Hai, Sima Changkong, and Master Liu Nian twisted their heads to look at Long Wenyu, who was carrying a small bag if she was going on an excursion. With that urging and disgusted expression, the three of them were speechless for a while, and continued to talk. Mr. Sima, Everything depends on you. We go here, the biggest threat. But from the broken army's ear power and the Wuxia is the same, powerful to the extreme. Although the Wuxia can set up a sound barrier for us, but cannot retain too much time, cannot follow too far. Only you guys to attract the attention of the broken army, in order to allow us to arrive at the place of that longevity formation peacefully, Wuxia said very solemnly. I've already spoken to the marshal, and will fully cooperate with you guys later on, as the Wuxia moves heaven and earth to confront the breaking army head-on. At that time, the army will be noisy, and the broken army will definitely not be able to notice you guys, Sima Changkong said in a deep voice. That's good, Wuxia nodded. Wuxia, Longwen Yu is going this way. So you've taken a lot of trouble, Grandmaster Liu Nian smiled bitterly. At this moment, Grandmaster Liu Nian suddenly had an urge to regret letting Longwen Yu go. Right. Don't worry, I promised Wan Yu that I would take care of her. Wuxia nodded. Going or not, Wuxia, Longwen Yu said, anxiously. Wuxia, Wuxia, come here. Wuxia called out. Master, Wuxia said respectfully. What I told you yesterday, as well as the tune that was passed down to you, you've memorized it, right? Wuxia solemnly said. Don't worry, Master. The tune, I won't forget it if I remember it once. Wuxia nodded affirmatively. Alright, turn around, and if there is any situation, Master Liu Nian will tell you what to do. Where to listen to Master Liu Nian more? Wuxia commanded. Yes, Wuxia nodded. I remember in the Silver Moon Sea, Yunmo used your Zither Dao intent in the first place, tying up an intent string, tying up a bunch of Zither masters, and in the end, when Yunmo manipulated it, all the bound Zither masters in the Silver Moon Sea were instantly pulled back to Silver Moon Island, Wuxia said in a deep voice. Oh, that one is easy. The proposed intentions are the strings. Only the two of you can touch them. Others can't see or touch them. Wuxia nodded. Now, you will use that intentionality string to bind me and Longwen Yu, as long as you receive my signal. No matter what the situation is, immediately pull me and Longwen Yu back, Wuxia solemnly said. In this way, Wuxia and Longwen Yu could be pulled back instantly, even if they went deep into the mire. Wuxia nodded. Longwen Yu, come here, Wuxia called out. What for? Longwen Yu frowned. Who you? Steeply, two more golden threads appeared in Wuxia's palm and handed them to Wuxia. Wuxia bound one to his waist. The other one was bound on Longwen Yu's waist. What are you doing, Wuxia? Longwen Yu glared. If you want to go, don't move, Wuxia said in a deep voice. Longwen Yu had an uncomfortable look on her face, but still allowed Wuxia to tie her up. Buzz. The thin golden thread shivered slightly and disappeared. Others couldn't see or touch it. Only Wuxia and Longwen Yu could see and touch it. Add a layer of insurance. Don't rip it off. It's life-saving, Wuxia said in a deep voice. HMPH. Longwen Yu let out a cold snort and didn't move after all. Gentlemen, let's go, Wuxia solemnly said. The crowd nodded. Nian. Wuxia and Longwen Yu drove the two immortal cranes and flew close to the ground, heading towards the foggy broken army barracks in the distance. On top of the immortal cranes, Wuxia looked at Longwen Yu on the side and said, Longwen Yu. What for? Longwen Yu had a stern face and said fiercely, I don't care what attitude you held to go with me, and I don't care how much you hate me, but I hope you remember one thing. Today, we are not going to play, nor is it a time to be angry. I hope you can cooperate with me. Today is to track down your mother's ghost. There is only one chance. Don't be capricious. Listen to me in everything. Cooperate with me fully. Okay, Wuxia solemnly said. Longwen Yu frowned slightly. Speaking of which, the resentment towards Wuxia had never gone away. But perhaps Wuxia was right. Even the greatest resentment could not be vented today, and there was only one chance to track down Mother's ghost today. With a solemn expression, Long One Yu solemnly said, HMPH, don't worry, I won't find trouble with you today. Good. Then later we enter it. You can tend to good fortune and avoid bad luck. I hope you can notify me in advance when you encounter a great evil or great good luck situation. No lying to me. No unauthorized action, Gu Hai solemnly said. Don't worry. In order to be able to find my mother, I won't be angry at this time. I'll cooperate with you. Long One Yu nodded. Many thanks. Gu Hai smiled faintly. You would actually thank me. Long One Yu looked at Long One Yu with wide eyes. Gu Hai shook his head and didn't say much. On the other side, Sima Changkong watched Gu Hai's group disappear into the distant mountains and forests. He also turned his head to look at the crowd and said, All right, it's time for us to go back and prepare to invite the battle. Good. Master Liu Nian, Gu Chen, and the others answered. The crowd entered the city and prepared as discussed beforehand. The divine Martial King stood on the city tower and looked into the distance. Marshal, it's almost time. Sima Changkong walked up and respectfully said, You take command. This battle, this marshal will not intervene. Divine Martial King said indifferently. Yes. Sima Changkong waved his hand, and his subordinates not far away quickly danced small flags. Dang, 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 dang. In Zhenan City, the sound of war drums boomed into the sky, and the rushing war drums immediately resounded in all directions. The loud sound of trumpets also rushed to the sky, and the powerful pre-war rising momentum blew away all the clouds in the sky, and all of a sudden, there were no clouds for miles. Soldiers from all directions were already gathering at the city gates and walls, and the great battle was about to start. The sound of war drums and horns. This was calling out to the distant military camp in the clouds and mist. In the distant army camp in the clouds and mist. The number of ordinary soldiers was not large. The army of the broken army, mainly the millions of kin figurines. The millions of bronze men neatly lined up on top of a huge square. Incomparably shocking. In the distance, as soon as the loud war drums and horns sounded, it immediately caused the broken army inside a large hall to raise an eyebrow. General, the Dragon God Martial Army, actually called for battle. A subordinate ran in shock. The broken army got up and walked out of the great hall to look into the distance, his brows slightly furrowed as he said, Long Shenwu. Finally willing to pit two armies against each other. With me here, your Zenon army can only be nothing more than a shrunken turtle, never want to leave Zhenan City. Beat the drums, prepare to meet the battle. Broken army craned his neck, revealing a hint of disdain. Yes,